Hello guys and welcome back. In 2019, I reviewed a ton of boots, some which came up short, some which exceeded my expectations, some for work, some for casual use. So when I was thinking about putting together a list of the best boots of 2019, at least the best ones that I tried, it was more difficult than I would have thought because, okay, here's the thing. You could easily go the route of what are the best made boots, and in that case, it's pretty clear. Or you could go with what are my favorite, which ones are the most unique, which ones do I like personally because, they're different. But I think that there's a much more important metric to use, which is which are the ones that I wear the most? Which of all the boots that I've bought and reviewed over this last year do I keep going back to day after day? Those are my favorite boots. So I've picked 3. And, these are probably not going to be the ones that you think, because I would imagine that if I was going to pick the best boots, they would all be the most expensive ones. Just pick the top 3 off of the boots that I've reviewed off the last year. There you go. Those are the best ones. After all, usually the price, it kind of goes hand in hand with the quality. But that's not the case. And I was actually surprised when I took an honest look at my collection of boots and I realized how many I actually go back and wear constantly. My number 3 pick is the Doc Martens 1460 made in England. And this is, if you told me in 2018 that this would be one of the boots that I wore the most, I wouldn't have believed you because, Doc Martens, they're cool and everything like that, but they're, in comparison to some of the Northwestern boots that I review here, they're not as robust. They're not particularly well made compared to some of the more expensive options, but I just keep going back to them. And I know why. They're comfortable. When I just don't really feel like wearing a heavy, structured work boot, if it's going to be a day that's pretty light, maybe I'm doing some office work, or, it's just a day that's not going to have a lot of physical activity, this is the boot that I grab. I know it's going to be comfortable. It's bouncy. It's kind of squishy. It's more like a sneaker, but it's still a boot. And I appreciate the history and all that goes with it. And they are made nicely. Don't get me wrong. As I mentioned in my review, they're actually quite a nice boot. And I was happy to remember the way I felt about Doc Martens back in high school. I still feel the same way today. And I just keep going back to these. It was surprising. I didn't think this would be in the top 3, let alone the top 5 or anything like that. But here they are. My second pick will be less of a surprise. That is the NYX handmade Urban Logger. These, I actually, when I had done the video in the beginning, I called them the perfect boot. And now I'm not sure they are perfect. I stated in there that I think they were perfect for me, but here's the deal. You can actually see a lot of the way that the wax rough out is starting to patina and stuff like that. I haven't even cleaned these yet. These are I just wear them. But here's the deal, okay? When I don't know what the day is gonna bring, and I'm just not sure if it's gonna be a hard day or a work day or some combination of the two, these are the ones that I wear. When I went to that Carhartt Summit for 3 days, I wasn't really sure what we'd be getting into out there. I knew that there was a formal dinner and there was going to be some fishing and all kinds of stuff that they had sort of as a surprise for us. The pair of boots that I wore were these. I wore these on a bass boat. I wore these walking through the downtown streets of Detroit. I wore these to dinner. They covered all the bases. And, when you're wearing something like this, something that's this substantial, it's almost like armor for your feet. But I love the fact that they're dressed up. A lot of people commented they don't like the higher heel, and that's fine. People have different tastes. I happen to like it. I like the way that this back curve kind of goes around. It's just I love the way this boot looks. And this here, it's about as close to a perfect boot as I can imagine because I don't mind thrashing it. I can go and work all day in the garage with it and not bat an eyelash. I could clean them up and wear them to the mall with my wife. You could do all those things in a pair of boots. And in that regard, putting them on, not thinking about them for the rest of the day, that's the ultimate thing that I want my boots to do. Get out of the way of my lifestyle. No other pair of boots does that as well as the NYX Urban Logger. Finally on my list, should come as no surprise to anybody, it is the MYG handmade nail shank boot. Now, I get more questions about these boots than any other that I own. people are intrigued by them. There are some people who are like, man, there's some ugly boots, especially with that toe, you know, that structured toe and all that stuff. They don't like the heel. They don't like this. They don't like that. You're never going to please everybody all the time, and that's okay. As a matter of fact, I think that's a sign that you're on the right path, because if everybody thinks it's okay, then it's probably pretty vanilla. But I can tell you this much. These boots have gotten better with time, not only in getting softer and more pliable and kind of breaking into my foot, but I've come to appreciate them more. When I put these on, it's like I feel like they're part of my default uniform. If I had to just pick like a video game character, my uniform, these would be on my feet. They're great. Nothing else quite feels like them. They remind me of almost like an old rigid motorcycle or something like that, where, you know, it's a little bit hard, but when it's really broken in and made for you, there's just nothing like it. This is, in the world of semi-automatic guns, this is a wheel gun. And it's just hard to explain any better than that. Several of you have bought this boot. Some of you have asked me in the comments and in emails how I like them over time, and I always respond that they've gotten better, that I like them even more now than when I got them originally. And the fact of the matter is they were a limited edition release. So when you got these, you got a number. Mine is like number 8, I think. Well, I want to be the first to tell you that MYG Handmade is no more. They've actually rebranded to Creosote with one of the coolest logos I think I've ever seen. The idea behind these is so unique and so cool and right in line with these boots, which is like, I don't know, it's like this mix of rugged, but also like maybe like a horror element in there. Like, I love that. These boots are just so cool. So Creosote is the new MYG Handmade. Same guy, same construction, all that stuff. But the idea here is that they are boots based on American folklore. So how he's going to interpret that, I'm not quite sure. But what I can tell you is that I will be getting a pair in the next year or so, which I can show to you. Creosote boots. So these MYG Handmade nail shank boots are no more. Matter of fact, the company that made them is no more. They've rebranded. And so when it comes to scarcity, to something that you just can't buy anymore, these nail shanks are exactly that. There's no more of them. So if you were one of the lucky people to have gotten one of these, or a pair of these rather, then hang on to them, because if for no other reason, they're going to be worth it to you. And I can say without a shadow of a doubt that in my collection of boots, all of the ones that I own, these right here are my favorite. Not only of the last year, but of all time. And believe it or not, I haven't reviewed all the boots that I have yet. There's some more to come in the next year. These aren't the most expensive boots that I own, because it would be easy, as I said in the beginning, to say, well, the most expensive boots are my favorite. That's not the case. I actually do have a couple pairs of boots which are more expensive than these. These, though, are my favorite. I just love them. Never met another person wearing them. I've never seen another pair in the wild. As I mentioned, if I had to have a default uniform, these would be on my feet. Even in my logo, that new logo with the character that some people are like, man, you really kind of like took a lot of liberties. It's not supposed to be me, you dope. It's like a caricature. He's wearing these boots. When I gave the idea to the artist, I sent him these boots, or the picture of these boots, and I said, you know, I'd like him to be wearing these, because when people think of me, I think that they would imagine that I'd be wearing these, my green Oris, and maybe like a hat, right? So that's kind of the way we would do the character. So anyway, guys, I'm not going to say that these are the best boots of 2019 that have come out from any company, because I haven't tried them all, but of the dozen or so that I've reviewed this year, these are my top 3. But I want to know what your top 3 are, or at least some of your favorite, maybe some of the favorites that I've reviewed just because you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comment section which ones were your favorite. There are some big changes coming to this channel in 2020. I'm going to let you in on more of that in the future, but there's some big changes coming. The channel is going to change. Things are going to, look, it's not going to change too much, all right? It's going to be the same channel. It's going to be me, all that stuff, reviews of all this stuff that you want to see. But things are going to change. The format is going to shift. This whole thing, where I am now, is going to change. So I'm excited to share that with you. I will let you know as soon as I can more about that. Until then, guys, thank you so much. Happy New Year. I hope everybody is happy, healthy, and prosperous in 2020. And I'll catch you next time.